Hello, friends. Today we are going to dive into the life of George Clausen, an artist who combined Danish pragmatism, Scottish sensuality, and British avant-garde spirit. But first, his journey from draftsman to king of the brush. George Clausen was born on April 18, 1852 in London to a Danish decorative artist and a Scottish mother. His childhood was spent in an artistic atmosphere, and at the age of 14, he began working as a draftsman for the construction firm Messrs. Trollope. At the same time, he attended classes at the South Kensington School of Art, where he studied under the guidance of Richard Burchett. It was there that he discovered the works of Frederick Leighton and Jean-François Millet, whose works shaped his early artistic taste. A decisive moment in Clausen's life was his meeting with the artist Edwin Long, who noticed the young man's talent and invited him to work in his studio. Long convinced Clausen to take up painting seriously. In the 1870s, Clausen traveled to Paris, the city where impressionism was taking off. He studied at the Académie Julian under the tutelage of William Bouguereau, a master of idealized female images, and Tony Robert Fleury, an expert in historical painting. But only for 5 months. Why? Because Clausen was tired of academic templates. After returning to England, Clausen began to create paintings on rural subjects. His early works were characterized by simplicity and attention to detail, scenes from the lives of farmers, workers in the field, everyday moments of rural England. He combined realism with a soft play of light, which became the main feature of his style. In 1881, he married Agnes Clausen, who often became a model for his works. They had 3 children, a son, Arthur, and daughters, Margaret and Catherine. Children often appeared in his paintings, especially during the period when Clausen created intimate family scenes. George's career developed rapidly. In 1886, he co-founded the New English Art Club, an association of artists who sought to move away from the conservative art of the Royal Academy. In 1895, he was elected an associate member of the Academy, and in 1906 he became a full member. As a professor of painting, Clausen lectured at the Royal Academy and later published 6 lectures on painting, where he shared his vision of art. The First World War left a deep mark on Clausen's life. His son-in-law was killed at the front, and this grief is reflected in his work Youth Mourning, which depicts a young woman kneeling in a deserted field. The painting became a symbol of the losses and pain of war. We cannot publish this painting in this video due to some YouTube restrictions, but by clicking on the link that has now appeared on the screen in the form of a QR code, you can enjoy the beauty and grandeur of this work. Also, links to all the artist's spicy paintings that cannot be published on YouTube will be provided in the video. That is, if you see a QR code in the video, this is your invitation to view an interesting and frank painting. During the war, Clausen worked as an official military artist, creating a series of works for the Imperial War Museum. In 1927, Clausen was knighted for his contribution to British art. His works are in leading museums around the world, including the Tate Gallery and the Yale Center for British Art. George Clausen died in 1944 in the village of Cold Ash, where he was buried next to his wife. His legacy is the art of light and truth, which still captivates viewers with its simplicity and depth. Let me remind you that we need your support in the form of subscriptions, likes, and comments to this video. This is a very simple step for you and a great help for us in developing the channel. Thank you for your understanding, and I invite you to continue watching. The most interesting things are ahead. George Clausen began his career under the influence of European schools of painting, but gradually formed his own style, combining naturalism and the play of light. His first serious impressions were made by the Hague School and the works of Jacques-Joseph Tissot. During a trip to Holland, he admired Tissot's city scenes, in which the simplicity of everyday life was combined with an exquisite play of color and detail. At this time, rural scenes appeared in his work: peasants working in the field, ordinary life on farms, human figures against the background of nature. However, Clausen was most influenced by the French artist Jules Bastien-Lepage. In 1880, Clausen saw Lepage's painting, Hay Harvesters, in the Grosvenor Gallery and was struck by its honesty and simplicity. It was the moment of his creative epiphany. Inspired by Lepage's style, Clausen embarked on a creative journey to Brittany, where he created a series of paintings in the naturalistic style. His Girl at the Gate has become a symbol of this period, a simple rural scene bathed in soft light that emphasizes texture and color. In the 1890s, Clausen discovered the Impressionists and, under their influence, began experimenting with light and color. He no longer tried to accurately reproduce every detail. Now his paintings conveyed the feeling of the moment, the change of light and mood. In the works Fields in June, where the sun seems to melt the paint on the canvas, and Dawn in Midsummer, with a real fireworks of blue and gold, one can already feel the lightness and airiness of colors, soft transitions between light and shadow. Clausen was no longer just depicting rural life. He was creating its atmosphere, filled with peace and harmony. But he did not copy Monet. His light is dramatic, as if emphasizing the contrasts of life. Here's how he said it himself. The sun is not always gentle. Sometimes it burns, like the truth. Although his style evolved, Clausen remained faithful to his main theme, man and nature. It was no longer just the art of the image, it was the art of feeling. George Clausen's oeuvre includes works that have become true masterpieces, each reflecting his unique style and deep understanding of light. One of them is Girl at the Gate, a painting that combines naturalistic precision with a delicate play of light. The painting depicts a simple rural scene. A girl stands by a wooden gate, and the sun's rays gently touch her face and clothes. This work not only demonstrated Clausen's mastery of light, but also brought him recognition. The painting was purchased for the National Collection, and today it is kept in the Tate Gallery. No less significant is his early work Schoolgirls, where Clausen addresses urban themes. In this painting, he shows girls walking down a narrow street, deep in thought. The painting conveys a special mood, a sense of silence, routine, and slight sadness. This work is currently on display at the Yale Center for British Art and is one of the most striking examples of his early period. However, the most emotional among his works was the painting, Youth Mourning. Now you see a QR code with a link to it. Clausen created this work after the tragic death of his son-in-law at the front during the First World War. The painting depicts a young woman kneeling in despair in a gloomy field. The emptiness around her, the dead silence, and despair in her pose create a strong emotional effect. This painting has become a symbol of the pain and loss caused by the war. In addition to emotional scenes, Clausen also worked on industrial subjects. During the war, he received the status of an official military artist and created a series of works called weapons manufacturing. In these paintings, he depicted factory workers who were forging weapons for the front in difficult conditions. Particularly striking is the painting War Factory at the Woolwich Arsenal, a huge canvas in which Clausen depicts the hard work of workers melting metal in fiery furnaces and making weapons. His works have always had a deep meaning. By clicking on the QR code that appears on the screen now, you can view the painting, The Watcher, which was partially shown in the preview to this video. In each painting, Clausen managed to combine technical skill with humanity and emotion. He painted scenes of ordinary life, but he did it in such a way that they were filled with inner light, giving everyday life a special poetry. This is what made his works timeless, and the name of George Clausen a part of the great history of art. For those who have not yet subscribed to the channel, liked it, or written a comment, I think now is the time to do so. And we are moving on. George Clausen played an important role in the development of British art, going from a young rebel to a recognized academic. In 1886, Clausen and like-minded people founded the New English Art Club, a community that challenged the conservative Royal Academy. Their exhibitions were characterized by a spirit of freedom, social appeals, experiments with light, and even naked peasant women that shocked the public. Young artists sought to reform art, abandoning outdated canons and turning to naturalism and impressionism. Clausen shared these ideas, as he believed that art should reflect the truth of life, not obey academic standards. His participation in this movement helped lay the groundwork for a new approach to British painting. However, despite his initial protest, Clausen was nevertheless recognized in academic circles. In 1895, he was elected an associate member of the Royal Academy, and in 1906 he became a full member. This caused a scandal. How could a rebel become part of the system? Recognition in the Academy did not change his creative principles. He remained true to his style, which combined naturalism, impressionism, and deep attention to light. It was Clausen who helped to reform the Academy, allowing students to exhibit works without strict censorship. As a professor of painting at the Royal Academy, Clausen made a significant contribution to art education. His lectures had a great influence on young artists, many of whom came to study because of his authority. In 1904, he published the book 6 Lectures on Painting, where he shared his vision of art. In his lectures, he taught students to observe nature and convey real feelings on canvas. Clausen was also involved in public activities in the art world. In 1909, he became the head of the Art Workers Guild, where he promoted the development of decorative arts and supported young artists. In 1921, he became a founding member of the Society of Graphic Art, where he exhibited his works alongside other famous artists. In 1927, Clausen was knighted for his contribution to British art. Despite this official status, he remained a modest man who preferred the quiet of the countryside and the simplicity of life. Next, see how Clausen's legacy has influenced contemporary art and why his works still sell for millions. George Clausen's legacy is a combination of classical traditions and an innovative approach to light and naturalism. His works have become part of the national artistic heritage of Great Britain and have found their place in the world's largest museums. The Tate Gallery in London, the National Gallery of Victoria in Melbourne, and the Yale Centre for British Art hold his paintings, including Girl at the Gate, Schoolgirls, and Weeping Youth. These works have become symbols of British naturalism and a deep understanding of human nature. His influence on art is still felt today, and his style has become an inspiration for many contemporary artists who seek a balance between realism and emotionality. In each of his paintings, one can feel not only technical mastery, but also a deep respect for life, nature, and humanity. In 2013, his painting Country Girl was sold at Christie's for £300,000, the price of an entire house in provincial England. This once again confirms the continued interest in his work. Despite the change in artistic trends, Clausen's works remain relevant because they convey universal human emotions, peace, joy, sadness, and hope. George Clausen lived a long life, devoting it to art and the search for light in the simplest things. His legacy reminds us that true art is not only about skill, but also about the ability to convey a sense of the moment, beauty, and truth. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you liked this story, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with your friends so that they can discover this genius. Write in the comments which painting by Clausen impressed you the most. I will be very interested to read your thoughts. Remember, art is not just the past. It lives in each of us. Thank you for making it a part of your present. See you in the next videos.